We spent a lot of time talking about NFL great Will Smith, Proctor great Will Smith, and for good reason. He left a real thumbprint, a real footprint, I should say, on the area, and continued to give, as Ron Mosher said in that very touching interview that he gave. I mean, that was really incredible. But he was going to be in town this week, and it goes deeper than that. Mark Caswell from the Comets is on right now. Mark, good morning. Thanks for coming on. Am I correct in saying that Will was going to be at the Comets game on Friday night?
Yeah, that was the plan. We were going to have him drop a ceremonial first puck to kick the game off.
Wow. I mean, this is just, it's really terrible, isn't it? This whole story is just awful.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. You know, whether you knew him or not, you knew the impact he had on the area, and it speaks volume about the man that he was.
And so what, I mean, you see about the giving, and Rob Esch, of course, is somebody that has given, but Rob had family here, and he stayed here and has continued to live here and invest in the area. Will didn't have that, and really just was giving back. But between Rob and Will, these are two people that really thought a lot about this area and have continued to give to the area, and that's been important for these guys.
Yeah, and you never know what the future might have held for Will. I mean, Will's a little bit younger than Rob. 5-6 years down the road, he might have been doing the same thing Rob is doing now.
Right.
Like you said, two great charitable people who never forgot where they were from.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, and off the horrible topic, the Comets clinched another playoff run over the weekend. Not the way you want to do it, but they did it by taking the game into overtime. Yeah,
it was. We needed to go to St. John's and get 1 point, and unfortunately, that's all we got. But yeah, we're in. Our tickets punched, and you can't win the championship unless you're in the dance. So I guess we'll see what happens.
All right. When will details be released on playoff dates and tickets and all of that stuff?
I can't give you a hardcore date. I know it was discussed last week. Today we're going to huddle up, and it's one of the first things we got to do.
Okay.
So,
all right.
In the not-too-distant future, probably this week sometime.
All right. Appreciate it, Mark. And again, a sad story. The connections continue as he was coming home this week. It's really, really sad. Mark, thanks for the call, and I appreciate it.
No problem. Take care.
Scott is in Utica. What's up, Scott? Hi, Scott. You're on.
Hi, Bill. I just called. I don't generally ever call talk radio. I've been listening to you for a really long time, and I really like your show a lot. And the reason I called this time is because, I know everybody's very sad about Will and hurting and everything, and so am I. But you know what? I'm a lot more angry than I am sad about this because, this is a kid that grew up here, made something out of his life, got someplace, rose to the top, was a decent human being, and some scumbag, some lowlife had to take him.
Yeah.
That obviously this lowlife never contributed anything to society or anything in his life and took a man like this, one of our own, that came up and was the kind of human being, and I'm really angry because you hear these kind of stories all the time, over a fender bender, this low life. I hope, and I told your screener, and I hope I'm not saying anything that's wrong or too abrasive, but I hope somebody in prison has a present for him when he shows up. I hope there's a Will Smith fan that's got a gift for him when he shows up in prison, because for him to take a decent human being's life over this is a worthless piece of trash that shouldn't even be allowed to breathe air as decent human beings that would do something like this. I'm sick about it. This was a great man who did something great. I told your screener, a lot of people if they made it out of this town, they'd never come back. They'd stay where they are and say, I'm not going to go back to that one cow town. Who needs Utica? And everything. And this guy came back. He put his mouth where his money was, or whatever however
I
you
understand
say
what
that.
you're saying. Yeah.
And I'm sorry for raising my voice. I apologize. But I'm damn angry. You know something? Because you hear these things too. And this is one of our own. And, this kid had to die like this because of a worthless piece of trash. And I'm just sick about it. And I hope other people are as angry as I am, about stuff like this. Someday maybe the gun laws or the gun things or everything else. I was just telling my landlady yesterday about the big article, the big ad in yesterday's paper that had page after page of assault rifle. It's just sickening at this point. And we lost a great kid because of this. And I just wanted to say that. And God bless him and his family and his wife. And I hope she has a speedy recovery. I don't know any of them, but I certainly am proud that they came from Utica, New York. That's all I wanted to say, Bill. And I appreciate you taking my call.
All right, Scott. I appreciate the call. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All right. My feeling on the gun issue, and it is it's not the gun, it's the person. This guy, by the way, the alleged killer. At this point, we should be fair there. Although I don't believe that there's any denying that that he was involved. He waited, actually stayed there and waited for police. But there's a long story. This, from what we know, this was a football prospect himself. And Katrina, apparently, of course, what the devastation that occurred in New Orleans. Katrina, and some of the stories I was reading, really got in the way of this kid moving on to potentially a professional football career. But there are charges. He's been in jail before. There are charges of weapon possession. He was charged with weapon possession and drug possession. So it's not the first go round. And clearly he's driving around with a loaded pistol in his vehicle. And while places like Texas, that's okay. I'm not sure that it is in New Orleans, but I can tell you this. This is not a guy that should have had a gun by the way that he used it. Pretty terrible, awful story. And I'll break. We'll come back. Hold on. We'll take just a couple more calls before we get out of here. 736-0186 if you want to pipe in. A sad day as Will Smith dies at the age of 34.